not often that you have the opportunity to reimagine a product like the IFRS financial statements, but we knew that we had to take the learnings that we had in desktop with more than 20 years of history and revamp it for the cloud. To enable our clients to have compliant disclosure is always a main priority for us, and shortly thereafter, how we can best automate it. In desktop, we started with having all the content in, and then due to the large volume of compliance changes, especially when IFRS 9 came out, we re-looked at the process to optimize the non-relevant notes out. For cloud, we took a different optimized approach, by only including what is relevant to your engagement from the start. We definitely did not want to just copy over what we have in desktop, but compliance standards will probably be always the compliance standard. This foundation of these key concepts was definitely a priority to also incorporate and expand on in our cloud product. But then we also had a look at what is happening in our industry, what our clients are saying to us, and what the regulators are finding. And we identified these problems that we want to address in the product. Firstly is clutter financials. Too much information, obscure the important information. And the irony is that by adding all this disclosure possible, we're also not adhering to the standard in this regard. We are introducing an immaterial checklist that I'll show to you shortly, as well as a new journey for your consolidations to address this area. Then the next one that we found was boilerplate disclosure. Our templates provide a lot of information, guidance, and examples, but should be made relevant to your entity. You can do this in IFRS Cloud with a placeholder feature. And then usability for our stakeholders. At the end of the day, it should be easy for the users to understand. And by giving you options to have your accounting policies in the note, we believe that the user will be able to easier understand the specific transaction as the numbers with the accounting policy will now read together. Furthermore, we also wanted to focus on a few key areas. And the first is visibility. You can see exactly what makes up your amount with a clear indicator with a diagnostic tool if it is not reconciling. Then relevance, further optimized to only see what is relevant to your engagement with the first level of optimizing when you create the file and continuously building throughout the process. And then storytelling. And this one is really up to you. But what I believe it is really to serve our end users is to tell the story what happened during the year in your entity. This is one of your only opportunities. The standards are there as rules, but you can add the narration to add transparency and to tell the story of what happened in your entity. With that, I'm going to jump into the demo and show you our brand new cloud IFRS financial statements. So for you that is not familiar with our cloud instance, this is how it looks. So as you can see here at the top, you'll have your entity. And for those that are familiar with the cloud, this is the same cloud that you'll use with your syncing. But what is different is this is all in product. The app is on the cloud with no installation, with no software. So on how you'll create a new file is you click on new and you click your app, which in this case is your IFRS financial statements, and you will create a demo file. For this purpose, you can see I did a few there, and I'm going to save. It will create the file, and the big benefit of cloud here is as soon as we have a template available or push new changes through, no templates to download, no installation, the file will always be created on the latest template available on the app. You also have the concept of a firm template, which I will show to you a little bit later. And if you are using the firm template, all your files that will be created on this cloud instance will be done from that template. So as you can see, there I created my engagement, and I'm going to show you a little bit around on the app. So firstly, here on the left-hand side, you have the settings where you can change your year-end, your currency, and if you do want to lock down, you'll also do that there. You also have the consolidation feature there, and I'm quickly going to jump into that. So how you will set up your console is you'll have your entity, and then you can add either a linked engagement, which means it's another cloud engagement file, or you can import a TB, like for example, Excel, and you can then also link your parent engagement. What we have done differently on cloud is to help with the whole clutter of financial statements, and also feedback that we got from the market is to actually not have your holding company and your company in one file. And the reason for that is that we feel that the holding company is the compliance requirement to submit XBRL, to submit the financials, and do not always want to have the holding company information. Further than that is if you have group and company in one file, then a lot of time the only focus is the group set of financials because the numbers are normally bigger, and therefore we have changed this in our cloud app. I'm going to close this because I'm not going to show you the full console feature today. And then further on, what you will see if you look at it, you'll see that there's not a lot of documents. So we want to make visible what is relevant to you and that you can follow the steps. So 101 is our first document that I'll show you. And I'm just going to open that up and you'll accept your disclaimers. And then you'll see as you accept, more questions are being populated at the bottom. And you will continue to complete all these questions as you go along. But with that, I am going to jump into another file that I've already created before, which is this file here, just to go through the process a little bit quicker. We are jumping back into 101, where we left off. And there you'll see my disclaimers, but I've also completed now some of these fields. Wherever you see this little light bulb, either in the checklist or in the financials, you can click on it, and it will provide some guidance here on the left-hand side. So that is a very nice feature, in-app guidance on anything that you are unsure of. I can also close that, and then I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to just open this one. And you see here all the different pages that you want to include. So if you want to include the general information page and maybe the detailed income statement, you can select that. And when you open your financials, those will be in. The first feature that we've also included to help with like I talked about, the storytelling, is your accounting policy options. So you have here the option to show it either in the related note or in a single accounting policy note. Now, we believe in the related note really gives the end user the opportunity to see your numbers as well as the accounting policy and the whole story of what happens in those transactions during the year. But we do also know that some of our clients or even our end users might prefer to still have a single accounting policy with everything together. So we are giving you the option here, and depending on what you select, it will immediately update in your financials, and you don't have to make any other additional changes. So I'm just going to scroll through a little bit more, and you'll see that this is basically your information store that you will then populate. Then as soon as you've populated the document 101, the next document that will appear, or this little link here, is your trial balance data tab. Now this is the same one, it's the one that's here at the top. We've just put a hyperlink here for you to jump easy to where you can import your trial balance. So like you see, I've already done one here, but I'm going to jump out, and you'll see here that you can add your data. So you have different options here. You can have your Excel file that's drag and drop. You can also have it on your document manager already that you can import here. You can input from another cloud engagement, or then you have all these data connectors at the bottom. So if I quickly search for Sage, for example, or Xero, this will give you a direct API link with your Xero. You log in, select your data, and it will pull it in. It will always be a pull that you can do, so you can go back and you can re-import it again if you want to, if you just follow the same steps again. Then after you've imported your TB, you can go to your assign account screen, and this is where you can then allocate it. So I've just kept 3 unassigned, and I'm quickly going to assign it here on the right-hand side, and by dragging and dropping it. So I've got my furniture and fittings cost, and then I've got my cumulative depreciation, and then I'm going to search for my fees here at the top. I know that is an income statement item, which I know is fees received. And that is how easy it is to import. Now, if you are a desktop client, we do have a function that's called the Cloud Bridge. Or what that does is if you have a desktop file and you want to migrate that TB, you can do so by using the functionality. It's like 3 clicks of a button, and it already maps your TB for you. You will see that our grouping numbers in cloud has changed quite a bit from desktop, for those of you that are familiar with them. And therefore, to help you with that migration process, you can do it through your old Caseware file. Then another function that I do want to show to you is our, let me go to our financial groups here. So there you can see your TB by leads, and if I'm going to scroll down a little bit, you'll see there is all your accounts that you want to show. You can also change some of the layout here, where you can add your numbers. If you round it, you can add it there. So different visibility that you have available. Where you have this little sign here, it's our old flip account. And if you click on that, it shows you disable dynamic reassignment for this account. So this is where an account can be used for a liability or an asset, but you only will have one TB account. And by selecting this, it will reassign it from the other account. So in this case, our deferred tax liability is a credit, and that's why it moved it to the liability side. But if you do want to show it as an asset, then you can easily disable that reassignment. So this is done per account level. So an example where you would disable that is when you have like a few bank accounts with payments and receipts, and then you want to net them all off together for one bank account. If I then jump back into my document manager, the next one that you'll see is document 181. Now, this is a brand new document that we've introduced that you can use, and it again gives some guidance here at the top. But what this document does, it gives you the option to show only accounting policies or not show an item at all when you prepare your financials. So firstly, you'll see that it's optimized. So the only items that you will see is ones that you have mapped. If you however click on this box here at the top, you'll see that the ones that are 0 will then start appearing. But I'm going to switch that off again. And we also have included this materiality figure. Now we know that for financials, there's no real guidance on how to determine the materiality figure, but we do want to give you an option to put in a figure for materiality. And then what that does, it gives you this little indicator on the side to say, should you consider this item is not material? Now, obviously, it's not as simple as just the numbers. You have to think about qualitatively and quantitatively. Do you need to include this line item or not? For example, a tax figure, but although it's below materiality, you most likely will include in your financials. But if we scroll down to our finance costs, for example, if you only have your income expense, it is from bank, there might be not a lot to add about that specific disclosure. And then you would like to actually switch that line off, that you don't have your note and your ICP, but you will still have the line on your financial statements for it to balance. And then if you're done, you can accept this document for the rest of your documents to open up. Then you'll see you have your financial statement optimizer here. And this is really to bring in, like I said, some of the notes and not optimize them out. Again, you'll see the little light bulb that gives you guidance throughout the checklist. And again, any item that you have mapped would already not show here. So if I go down, if you did not have PPE, you would have not seen this section at all. So the first, if I just click here on the arrow on the left, you'll see there's my document map, which I can easily jump to different sections if I would want to. But the first section that I will show you is PPE. Now what we have here is if you have mutually exclusive content, like you want to have an accounting policy or detail, it's either cost or cost and revaluation or revaluation. We don't want to give you everything and then you just have cost. So if you select cost, all the information regarding revaluation will already be excluded to assist that you don't end up with disclosure in your financials that you don't need. And then you have further questions that you can answer. So that's the first type of optimizing that we do. The next one, if I jump to taxation, you'll see is if you have disclosure options, like for taxation, you have an option of amounts or percentages. And depending on your choice, again, it will be built in the financials. Now, the top part of this section is, like I said, optimizing everything out, that you only see what is relevant to you, and you can further answer questions. The second part, if I go to select the notes that should be included in the file, does not have trial balance data. So we cannot determine if it should be on or off, but we're asking you the questions, do you want it included, yes or no? And by simply answering the questions, it will populate and will be in your financials. And then the last section, one we're very fond of, is on your standards. And here you can select the different options again for the note to build. So let me jump back to the document manager. And before I go into the financials, I want to highlight, you'll see at the top, EV, which is Etienne, who's just our product owner for this product, and he has signed into the cloud on this file as well. So you can have multiple people working in the same file at the same time, also in the financials, and that is one of the other big benefits of a cloud engagement. With that, I'm going to open the financials and let me show you how it looks. Right, so there is my set of financials opening up. I'm firstly going to jump quickly to my director's report. You'll see you'll have some hyperlinks here on the side, and then my statement of financial position. So you can see all the numbers that was in my TB, and then also one of the questions that we have is, do you want to sign it off? And then you have the signature area here at the bottom. So firstly, I'm going to some functions. If you see this little star on the right, if you click on that, you have a rounding difference. Now we know in financials, especially in desktop also, you have that 1 or 2 rand differences that always come up if your TB is not rounded when you pull it in. And then where do you put in that 1 or 2 rand differences? So in cloud, you have the option to select on which line item you want to add it. So it will always default to the first line that's available on your balance sheet, but you can go and change it for current years as well as prior. So in this file, I don't have a rounding difference, so it'll just say no rounding differences applied, but you'll see this little star everywhere where PPE comes up, that it indicates to you that that is where the rounding number is being allocated to. Then if I hover over any amount, you can see the TB drill down, which makes up the exact amount that makes up the figure that is in that line. And that functionality is available throughout. Another functionality, if you see this first PPE amount, if I click there on that arrow, it can drill down to different levels if you want to. So for the balance sheet, you most likely wouldn't want to see that level of detail. But if you have a note that you do want to see the sublines that make up that line, you can click on the little arrow and it will optimize it out for you like that. Right, with that, let me go to one of our notes. And I'm going to jump to our trade and other receivable note so that you can see how that looks. So this is, like I say, at the top will be your numbers and all your disclosure that you'll probably need. And then because I made the option selection for the accounting policy to be at the bottom, it will be here with all the details that you need. If you had a different option, this whole accounting policy section would have been part of your general accounting policies. So you'll always have a general accounting policies for the items that doesn't have a specific note, and they will fall part of that. If we quickly jump to that, you'll see it is like your introduction, your basis of prep, those kind of items. If you have also made the selection in document 181 to show accounting policy only, then it wouldn't make sense to put in the note just to do the accounting policy. So if you've made that selection together with the selection of having your accounting policies in the note, that specific accounting policy will form part of your general accounting policy. If I jump back to my trial balance, I can now start to edit this note to make it applicable to my engagement. So the first table that I have here is my split between current and non-current. But as I don't have a non-current section, it would make sense for me just to exclude it. I wouldn't want the users to be able to see that. So how you do it, if you just click on the three dots next to it, you can exclude it there. So note that this section is a subsection, so it had its own little number, which means it will then form part of your note library. Now, your note library shows all your sections that has been excluded just for this note. It doesn't take all the different categories because that would be very hard if you want to include to find it again. But there you can see that was the section that you have excluded. If you want to put it back in, you can preview it, you can select it, and you can add it back in. But I'm quite happy with this one. I do not want to add it back in, so I can just cancel that. If I then however go to a text section, for example, my exposure to credit risk, and I do want to have some of the paragraphs, but maybe not all, I can go to the same process, click there, and exclude it. But this is not going to go to the note library because it's not a subsection, but will actually form part still of this section. I'm going to show you now what I mean. Let me exclude a few there. Right, so now I've excluded those three. So you'll see this blue plus, and I'm going to show you a few features there. But the first thing I want to show you there is you've got then, if I click there, excluded content. If you hover over it, it will give you the full details of the section that you have excluded. And if you want to put back in, you just click on it and you'll see, oops, I'm scrolling a bit much, you'll see that it has then put it back into where you want it. If you want to see what sections are excluded and not excluded, we have this review functionality at the top, which can be used by a reviewer, but also if you want to confirm what sections were excluded. And then let me just switch on the reviews tool again. And then you'll see the different indicators of things that were excluded and included. So if I go to the trade receivables, you can see the split between non-current assets will indicate there that it has been excluded. Right, if I want to add some text or add other disclosure, again, you can use the blue plus. So if I click on that, you'll see there's a text section and you can easily add text. You can also format it quite easily by highlighting, bold, italic, bullets, whatever style you would want to choose. You can also add additional text to sections that's already available by simply clicking on it, and you'll see then the blue pop-up box appear, and then you can add some text. If you want to build tables, we do know that everybody likes to add their own customized tables. Again, blue plus, and then you can add a dynamic table, and it will start to put in the headings like that. If you then want to edit it further, you can go to Edit Dynamic Table, and that will open the edit mode. So this is not how Design Mode in Desktop works, but it does give you a lot of functionality of super inserting, adding tables, and adding rows. So if I click on that, you'll see I've got trial balance, input, commentary, spacing, page break, and custom, and you can select any of them. And I'm going to go to trial balance first, and I'm going to build financial assets. And then I want an input row, and maybe then I want another trial balance row, but now I want one that's a bit lower level, so I'm going to drill down to the revenue sale of goods. And the same way, if I want to add some columns, you can click on the plus there, and you have different column options available. You there have your current year, comparatives, amount variance, input. I'm going to do this as a note reference because I would like to reference some notes there, and I'm going to save and close. So here you'll see your table that you have included. And again, the functionality that I've showed in the balance sheet, you have a little drop down there that you can click on and you can expand on any section that you would want. If you, however, have selected the revenue, which was already the lowest level, then it will automatically just be that level that is visible to you. I also like to draw attention to this little star here. So like I said, on the balance sheet where your rounding is applied, you will see that also now going forward. Now I'm going to jump to another note. I'm going to show you the tax expense note. And what that is at the top you have your tax expense, and then I have my recon here at the bottom. And then you have this diagnostic tool. Now the diagnostic tool is linked to a specific area in the financials that will highlight for you where it should link up and be together. Should be the same. So in this regard, you can see this balance is 9.4, but in my income statement or my statement of financial performance, it is 233. So there's obviously a difference there. You can also click on this link here, and it will automatically jump to that line in the financials for you with the same indicator there on the right-hand side. So that is definitely giving you a visibility on any figures that is not tying back and should be reconciling back to a specific area. Then if I go back to my cover page, you'll see at the top a placeholder section here. Now, what this does is when you have example text, if I click on it, you'll see it jumps. It's anywhere there's blue text. We expect you to have to change that text. So it's either like a name, a date, an example, or something like that. So if I click on that and I say, this is my example text, again, your toolbar with all the formatting that you'll need, and you'll save it. Before I save it, you'll see the placeholder here is 191. If I save it, it will go down to 190. So that is a little counter for you. And as you go along, you most likely will fill in most of these blue text section as you are preparing your set of financials and adding your disclosure. But this is an indicator to make sure that when you print your final set that you have covered all those areas and don't have the boilerplate disclosure still included in there. And then to edit further, if you want to move your notes, very simple to move. You see this little doormat here. You can move that up and down, and immediately the numbers will change and update accordingly. Then you do have some settings and format, and I'm just going to highlight them quickly to you. So if you click on this little eye here, you have your settings there, and this will be your currency, your date formats, your numbers, and those are the most that you will use, decimal symbol that you will use. Yeah. Then you also have this little gear icon here, which is more your formatting, and I'm going to go through them and show you some. So here's your border lines. We know some people like to customize them quite extensively. So you have some border lines there. Then we have your currency symbol. We have some more formatting options. Then you have your rounding, which is, do you want to show them in thousands and millions and billions? And then you can also say how you want to display them here. And then you also have, for example, your numbering. If you want 1.1 or 1 ABC, you have different options there available. So definitely some options available to help you to customize your financials further for you. Now, you would have seen here at the top a little hourglass like that, and that is your comparison tool. What this does is you can save versions, and then what it will do is it will compare it for you at the end to say what has changed and what has not changed. So also very nice tool to highlight the changes that were made. If I jump back into my cloud instance, I would like to show you just your firm settings, because I know that's quite important to some people. So if you are an admin user on your cloud, you'll have the settings option here at the bottom. And if you click on that, you'll have all your apps available here. If I select IFRS Financials, you have the option here to insert your letterhead and logo. So if I select that, what you upload here will show then in your financials if you select the letterhead and logo option. You also have this manage template option, and this is your firm template. So for this one, you can see we've published a few times, but what it will do is if you click on this open create draft, it will create your firm template for you on the basis of the previous template that you've done. It will incorporate any of our changes if we have made any, and you can then accept it. Like I say, any file that then gets created on this engagement, on this cloud instance, will be done on this latest templates available. So a very easy way to do a firm template and make it available to your users. If I jump back to my document manager, just a few things that I further want to show you. So you do have the option here to have adjustments, which is your journals that you can pause. This is the screen that will come up. You also have the options to, as soon as you select a console file, then your eliminating entries will also be an option that becomes available here. But you have your journals that you can pause here. A question that I sometimes get is if you get integrate with our online accounting package, will these journals then process back? No, it won't. That's why we do say it's a pull request, which gives like the accounting software will stay intact with the numbers that they have. So if you do want it to link up, it would be recommended that you go back into your accounting platform, pass the journals there, and then link it back up again. You also have, if I go back into my documents tab, we have queries available here. Now on this document manager, you'll see that the queries is not available. But if I go back into my engagement setup, one of the questions that I had here right in the beginning is it internally prepared or externally prepared? Now, if it's internally prepared, that will be like you're a corporate and you're preparing it for yourself, and then there's certain documents that you won't need. But if you say externally prepared, which meaning you are preparing it on behalf of another entity, like your accounting firm or your audit firm preparing it for a corporate, then more questions will come up. As soon as you change that question, and I jump back to the document manager, you'll see also then your engagement letter comes up, because you're not going to have engagement letter if you're doing it internally. And also then you have these two query documents that comes up. Now how the query documents work, again, optimized to only show what is relevant and what you have mapped, is we say, do you need any information in regards to this? So I'm just going to go yes for this one and fix asset register. And the rest, I'm just going to say no for now. And you can see there's quite a lot, because when we do prepare financials for a client, there is normally a lot of disclosure that we need. And then what it does, it creates this request for records and documents. Now this document you can send to your client. So a query doesn't need to go to You don't have to open your email, draft a mail. You can send it directly from the app to that client if they are, and you can just add them on your cloud as a contact, and then they will get the query. The query for them will look exactly like the screen, so they won't have access to anything here, but it will give them the instruction, and then it will ask them certain questions. So because you've answered PPE, I want the fixed asset register, you can see this little block appear here, and then they can drag and drop and upload this disclosure for you. What will happen is as soon as they start to upload it, those documents will already be available in your app. And when they are done and submit, then it will go to your document manager and all your supporting documents will be available there. So you don't have to worry about somebody that's maybe not in the office or on leave or leaving the firm and client communication is stuck in somebody's inbox. Then you also have the option to see this plus here where you can create a document, but you can also upload a document. So if I go a little bit down, you'll see here's my financial statements document. And then we have a placeholder here for the signed financials. So you can either use this placeholder, but you can also upload any of your documents that you want. So I'm going to upload here, and I'm going to say I want to upload the prior financials to be in this file. And all the documents that you upload here, being it Excel, Word, or PDFs, will open in Excel, Word, or PDF. It will not open in just a viewing format. So you can open it and you can edit it. So all your documents can be available on your document manager. Then you also have a sign off option that if you click on this little here, you can say prepared by a sign off and you'll see my initials appear there. Now for the financials, it's not something that we normally use a lot in desktop, the whole concept of lockdown and sign off, but it does give you a very nice indication with your donut here how far you are in your engagement. And as you have different people working on a file, and that's one of the big benefits of cloud, we do believe that this will then enable you as well and help you with that. Then I quickly just want to upload one more document, which is my financial statements for this year. And I'm going to open it for you that you can see how it looks. So this you can see is quite a big set. This one is about 80 pages. Haven't customized it fully for my engagement, but as you can see, rendering in a PDF format for you to send to your client. I'm going to scroll down that you can see your balance sheet, and that is then how it will look.